I'm so excited for today. If you're excited, put an exclamation mark in the chat. Let me see if you're going to match my energy. If you're excited, just put an exclamation mark in there. Okay, I love it. I love the exclamation marks coming through. Erica put like 10 exclamation marks. I love it. Okay, awesome. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I think y'all are going to match my energy. I love it. I think this group is going to match my energy today. So let's go ahead and in that case, let's get started. Let's go ahead and just get right into it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this training where I'm going to be walking you through how to leave your miserable job and live a fulfilled life in 2 simple steps. And this training is specifically for professional women who are ready to secure an aligned job with a 5-figure salary increase. Now, this is going to take us about, I will say 90 minutes, and that's because I want to do like a 30-minute Q&A at the end. So really the actual content, the training, less than an hour, I'm going to teach you what you need to know, and then we'll spend time discussing and getting to know each other more and answering your questions. But I do want to make sure, because of what I just shared, I do want to make sure that you are actually spending time in the right place. So this training is for you if you are currently feeling stuck in a job that's making you feel undervalued or unfulfilled, if you don't feel like you're doing meaningful or impactful work in your career, if you feel like lack of interviews, maybe you've been applying to jobs and lack of interviews or lack of job offers has been causing you to doubt yourself and your skills. If any of these resonates with you, you're definitely in the right place, and let me know in the chat if this is you. If your physical and mental health are being impacted by your unfulfilling career, whether it's you're losing hair, your skin is breaking out, you're gaining weight, you're losing weight, you have ulcers, you have headaches, if any of that, you're feeling more depressed, more anxious, less motivated, if that feels like you and you know it's because of your job, this is going to be the right place for you. If you wake up every morning with this sense of dread because of your job, so you wake up and it's like there's a ball of lead in the pit of your stomach, and you're just like, I don't like, do I really have to go back to this place? I don't know how I feel. Ugh, I can't believe I have to do this again. Or if you know, like you just have this sense that you know you're meant to do more with your life, but you have no idea what more is, and it's causing you to feel even more stuck, this is definitely the right training for you. So I see that someone already said yes. Let me know in the chat. Just put yes or no. Let's make sure you're in the right place. If any of that sounds like you, just type yes in the chat. If it doesn't sound like you, say no. And then that means I'm going to be like, oh, are you in the right place if it's not, if it's not resonating? So let me know in the chat. Just say yes or no. Okay, I am seeing the yeses come through, and I'm toggling on my phone back and forth between the lobby and the chat. So I see the yeses. Bonieri said yes. Beverly says yes. Laura says yes. Steph said yes to number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Louise said yes. Erica says yes. Okay, so I'm seeing the yeses come through. Great. So then let's go ahead and jump right in, because that means y'all are definitely in the right place. And as I'm sharing, if anything is resonating with you, definitely type it in the chat. I'm gonna just sort of keep an eye on it. So if things are resonating or something just stands out, type it in the chat. Now, if you specifically have a question, there's a Q&A box. So if you click the more options, if you're on your phone or on your computer, you'll see 3 dots. You should see Q&A. Type your questions there, because at the end, I don't want your questions to get lost in the chat. Or if you just want to write your question down for yourself and then wait until the end of the training when we do the Q&A to come off mute and talk to me, feel free to do that also. But I don't want to miss your questions, okay? So now there are 2 types of women in the world of work. And I want to get started with today's training by giving you a sense of these 2 types of women, because it's going to also help you figure out, again, if this is right for you. One, I really call them the unhappy worker and the fulfilled career woman, but I started to give them names. So I called the unhappy worker Unhappy Ursula, and the fulfilled career woman, I call her Fulfilled Fatima. Now, let me tell you a bit about both of these women, and I want you to listen as I'm sharing to see where you're hearing yourself. So Unhappy Ursula is someone who is afraid to transition into a fulfilling career because she thinks it means she's going to have to take a pay cut. So yes, she's unhappy at work, but in her mind, making a move or transitioning careers is going to mean that she's going to be getting paid less. And so it has kept her stuck in a job where she's not happy or she's not fulfilled. She spends hours reading different job postings, but she still has no clue what she wants. So she's on LinkedIn, she's on Indeed, she's scrolling jobs. And as she looks at it, she's still like, am I going to enjoy this job? Is it going to be any better than my current job? I don't even know. She feels misunderstood because her loved ones are sick of hearing her complain. So they're saying things like, girl, you're always complaining, but you don't do anything about it. Not knowing that she just doesn't know what to do. It's not like she's complaining just because she likes to complain. And she feels constantly nervous that she's ungrateful for this desire that she has to have a fulfilled career. She feels ungrateful and she thinks to herself, at least I have a job. There are people out there who are out of work. And she consistently dreads Sunday night, dreads Monday morning, looks forward to Friday because she knows that Sunday and morning means she's going back to this job that she absolutely hates. That is unhappy Ursula. Fulfilled Fatima, on the other hand, is someone who does meaningful work and still gets paid in her alignment with her lifestyle. She wakes up, she feels engaged by the work she's doing, and she's getting paid well to do it. She is decisive and she knows exactly how to evaluate a job and a company for fit and alignment. So she is not wasting time going back and forth, hemming and hawing, trying to figure out, is this the right job for me? She is someone who lives in gratitude for an awe of God leading her to a job that is aligned with her talent, right? She feels really grateful that she's doing work that she enjoys, that is exciting and aligned with the talents that has been put in her. She enjoys what she does for a living, and because she enjoys what she does for a living, she shows up as her best self because of it. She shows up energized, excited, and she is inspiring to people around her, and she feels energized and excited daily because she is doing meaningful work that she loves. Let me know in the chat which of these women sounds like you. Right, just let me know in the chat. Would you say you're an Ursula or a Fatima right now? And I see, okay, Louise said unhappy Ursula, unhappy employee. Erika also said Ursula. Okay, Destiny said same. Okay, so it seems like some of you are resonating with Ursula. Let me hear from others in the chat. Let me see. Bonieri says unhappy. Okay, so definitely resonating with Ursula in the chat. Let me know others. Type in the chat. Let me know, are you an Ursula or are you a Fatima? Which one is most like you? I see unhappy. Okay. Ursula, Cian says Ursula. Okay. So here's why this is important. Because if you are like most women that I've worked in the past, the fact that you're here, definitely an Ursula who wants to transition into a Fatima, and that totally makes sense. And here's the thing, being in a career that doesn't align with who you are will cause you to think there's something wrong with you. When you and Ursula, over time, you start internalizing all of that dissatisfaction and it starts making you think that you're the problem. But over your adult lifetime, we spend approximately 90,000 hours at our place of work. It makes zero sense. This is one of my foundational philosophies. It makes zero sense to be miserable for that much time. Imagine 90,000 hours being unhappy for that long. I don't think that makes any sense at all. And so my goal for today is to help you understand the two simple steps that you need to follow to find and secure a fulfilling career with a 5-figure salary increase while sharing real client results. And that last part is key because I know even for myself sometimes when someone is teaching you something, it's easy, especially for those of you who are like, I'm an Ursula. Fatima can feel like this faraway dream right now. And so when I'm teaching you this content, it's easy to feel like, oh yeah, that's never going to be my reality. So when I share real client results, it's to help you see that everything I'm teaching you can work for you. Nobody's a unicorn here. It can work for you. And then at the end of the training, as you know, doors are going to open to my signature program, Find Your Fulfilling Career, which is where I will help you clarify your fulfilling career so you can secure an aligned job with a 5-figure salary increase. Now, hello, if this is your first time in my sphere, for some reason, first time seeing me on video, I'm Dr. Tega, so that's pronounced Tega. And before we jump in, let me tell you a bit about my own story and how I used to be an Ursula and became a Fatima. So if you don't know, I'm originally Nigerian. That's a picture of me at my traditional wedding. Yes, I look like a princess. I felt like a princess that day. But the reason why I share this context is that growing up, while this never came directly from my family itself, growing up, I often felt or heard these, like Nigeria is a society where there are certain jobs that are seen as prestigious, at least back when I was growing up. Jobs like being a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, an accountant. So I had these ideas of what are that there were specific jobs that were good enough or that were prestigious. And so that really pushed me to go onto the medical path. And this was absolutely not the right path for me at all. Like this picture you're seeing, that's not me. That picture is a stock photo because I had no pictures of myself at that time in my life. I was so unhappy. I was doing this healthcare research job where I was in a tiny office. It literally felt like a box. And in that office, I would come in, I would enter data. I remember it so vividly. We were doing research about the effect of smoking and lung cancer on people's psychiatric health. Point being, I was entering data. It felt redundant. I felt unhappy. I felt miserable. And when I looked around me, everyone else it seemed like they were doing well, right? It seems like people were thriving. And so I started asking myself and wondering, what am I doing wrong? Am I the problem here? What is the mistake that I'm making? And so, you know what? I finally realized that I did not want to continue being miserable. And so I took a step back and thought about who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world. And then I realized that, you know what? The right path for me was going to be counseling. And so I moved from doing research to being a counselor because I was just not happy at all. And in that time that I took a step back, what I started to look at was, okay, what do I enjoy doing? And back then it was like, you know what? I really love kids. I like being around children. This is so ironic now, but I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be an educator. And I'll tell you why it's ironic in a bit. And so I was like, okay, where can I really help children thrive and help children grow? And I discovered counseling in my research. So I learned about myself. I discovered I wanted to be a counselor. And so I went to be a school counselor after getting my master's at Johns Hopkins. So I worked as a counselor, a school counselor for a while. And then I wanted to start helping school counselors do better. So I went to get my PhD. This is a picture of me when I graduated from my PhD. And this is why I say it's ironic, because during that journey of doing my PhD, I worked as a counselor in other fields. I did mental health counseling, and then I did career counseling for a couple of years at one of the top career services centers in the nation. And that's actually where my love for career counseling came from. But the reason why I said it was ironic is because after my PhD, I wanted to become a professor. Yeah, I'm a teacher right now. So back then I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. I teach for a living. So like my full-time job right now is as a professor. That's why I say it was ironic. But all this being said was I used to be miserable and unhappy. And for me to find my own fulfilling path. So I have been on the counseling path since 2011. So over 10 years now. And I have been fulfilled every step of the way, even as I have held different jobs on that path. And the only way that I have been successful doing that is because at every step of the way, I have been clear about who I was on each path of my career. And so when I became a professor, which I started that job in 2018, one semester, I loved it, but I missed working with clients. And so I was like, you know what? I want to keep doing the career work. I left that to come to university, to come to academia, but I really loved working with clients. And so that is how Her Career Doctor was born. I mean, I'm cutting the story way short because I want to get into teaching you, but I just wanted to give you a sense of who I am. And now through HCD, which is my business, I help women who are unhappy at work exit soul-sucking jobs and find fulfilling careers that allows them to thrive in their zone of genius, live on purpose, and get paid a value-aligned salary. Everything I'm teaching you today is the things that I use to be successful, but exponential. I'm saying exponential because I had the sense of what I needed to do when I moved from medical research to counseling. But it wasn't until I actually became a counselor that I learned the evidence base behind career work. It wasn't until I became a professor that I started researching career development, and I know the evidence, the theory. I have done research on this. So it's like I had this sense, which I just, say that was the Holy Spirit back then that led me. But it's like everything I then learned has just helped solidify what I used to be successful in my career and what I now use to help my clients. And so over the past HCD is 4 years old now. So over the past 4 years through HCD, I've coached over 100 women to clarify their next most fulfilling career move and rekindle confidence in themselves and their career identity. My passion is for helping women thrive in their careers, because another one of my philosophies is that you cannot have life satisfaction without career satisfaction. And so helping more women experience career satisfaction is my purpose and is my mission. In 2023 alone, my clients secured an average. So on average, my clients increased their salaries by $30,000. I believe the world is a better place when women make more money and women thrive at work. And one of my client results is one of the things I'm most proud of in this life, which is why I said I'm going to share real client results with you. So someone said, is the recording going to be shared? Yes. So I know it's the middle of the workday for some of you, so I will be sharing the recording if you need me to, or I will be sharing it later on. And then, so remember Ursula, right? So I asked you, most of you said you were an Ursula. Here's the thing. If you are like most of my clients who at one point, most of my clients, when they come to me, they are Ursulas. If you're like them, then you have probably tried one or more of these things to help you find a fulfilling career path. Okay. And as I share these things, let me know in the chat if any of them resonate with you. You have read self-help books. Maybe it's Who Moved My Cheese? What Color is My Parachute? Whatever it may be. You have talked talk to your loved ones and your mentors. You've been talking to your friends, your family about what they think you're good at, what kind of jobs they see you thriving in. You've been asking your mentors, how do you think you can use your skills in other places? You have completed new professional certificates because, again, if you're like my clients, we are notorious women for thinking when we get more certificates, we become more qualified and then we'll get fulfilling jobs. You have been scrolling through LinkedIn, looking for potential roles, trying to figure out what you will enjoy. You have conducted multiple informational interviews. So you've been talking to people and trying to understand what other jobs are out there and how you can be successful in those jobs. You have maybe completed personality tests, those free career tests online, those free career assessments. You have done all of them to see what jobs you could do. And you have made multiple transitions within your field or company. You have applied to new jobs. You've tried to get a promotion. You've gone to a different company, whatever it may be. You have tried all these things to try to find a fulfilling career path. Let me know, am I right or am I wrong? Let me know, okay? All of the above. Yes, okay, so I am right. Yeah, let me tell you, I see it. This is one of the things I've worked with so many women. I see the patterns before they even come. And none of that have worked with you. In fact, you have been so underwhelmed by the quality of information you have received or consumed when you've tried to do all these things. Like, ironically, it has left you just feeling confused, frustrated, and overwhelmed. This is why I think sometimes throws us off, because it's like the information you get is so underwhelming. It's like, girl, I don't want to be a teacher. But it's overwhelming because you've taken in a lot of information and you have no clue what to do with all the information you took in. Look, there is a very simple reason why everything you have tried hasn't worked for you in your career. A very simple reason. And it's because you don't have parameters to use to audit roles for fit. Let me rewind that. Nothing you've tried, the books, the certificates, the new degree, talking to mentors, all of that, none of that have worked for you because you don't have any parameters to use to audit the information you're getting and the roles for fit. In fact, your default is to look at your work history to determine what your next career move should be. And that's why you feel overwhelmed, because it's like your job is telling you to be an accountant, but you're like, I'm already an accountant. I don't want to do that. I know I'm unhappy. I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to do engineering. I don't want to do project management. I already hate doing that. But the reason why that doesn't work is that your work history cannot and will not serve you well. Because if you've been unhappy in your career for years, we already know that your work history is not a completely accurate picture of what you will find fulfilling. Like, you don't enjoy your job. So you're looking at all this information, you're going into these tests, these conversations, only thinking about the jobs you've had in the past, because, mind you, that's how you were taught to make career decisions. And so none of that works for you because it's giving you information that you already know about yourself. We already know that your current work history is not fulfilling. It's why you've been unhappy for 5 years. So without clear parameters, these DIY things that you're trying will have you spinning your wheels and feeling stuck in your career. That's all you get from it. So what are the 2 simple steps that you need to follow to leave your miserable job and secure an aligned job with a 5-figure salary increase? You need to get clarity about who you are and market yourself for the role you want. That's it. That's it. Clarity and marketing. That's all you need to do. Now, before I give you, because you're probably like, okay, what do you mean by clarity? What do you mean by marketing? I'm going to tell you, I promise. But before I do, there are 3 core principles that I want to share with you. 3 core principles you need to embrace before you can find meaningful work. And I say that because those 2 steps, they're the strategy. Those are going to be the things that you're actively going to do to leave your miserable job and secure an aligned job with a 5-figure salary increase. But before you do the strategy, we need the right foundation. And the right foundation is going to be your mindset and your approach. Because if you don't have the right mindset, it's why you've read the books, you've looked on Google, you've hired a resume coach, you've redone your LinkedIn profile, you still haven't found fulfillment. That's not working because you're approaching it with the wrong approach, the wrong mindset. And so I want you to understand these core principles because they will ensure that any strategy that you layer on top of them will be successful. And so a principle is a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior. Let me put it this way. I want to share with you 3 fundamental truths that are a foundation for you to find a fulfilling career. 3 fundamental truths. And let me start by sharing one of my clients who is just like case in point for why your mindset is so powerful. Sydney is someone who worked with me and Find Your Fulfilling Career way back in 2020. And when she came to me, she was feeling stuck in her job. She needed clarity and guidance on how to figure out what her next step should be. And this is where I want you to key into. When we went through the program, she was able to unpack what led her to feel like she couldn't have a fulfilling career, and it empowered her to go about her life in a different way. Oftentimes, most of us aren't even aware that we don't think we are worthy of career fulfillment. We aren't even aware that we have interned, and this was Sydney's story. Her story is it's on the podcast, so I'm not saying anything you can't hear, but she is someone who she had heard messages from her mom specifically about work is meant to be miserable. And so she had internalized that without knowing. And it's why nothing had worked in the past. But once she unpacked that, once she had the right mindset, she was able to be more confident in the workplace. She was able to secure a job that she had never thought she could do, an analyst. She was able to dismantle and reprogram her mindset and realize that her skills were transferable, that if she had clarity on what was important to her, she could achieve any role she wanted. Clarity. She realized what was going on in her mind, what she believed that was keeping her stuck and unhappy. And once she figured that out, she experienced exponential success. And I really love Sydney's story because, and this is a sidebar, y'all, so bear with me. But Sydney, I said her story's on the podcast. And that's because 2 years after going to FYFC, going through the program, Sydney was unhappy at work. And she said when she realized she was stuck again, she just straight up went back to her workbook from Find Your Fulfilling Career, looked at it, made another career transition with a salary increase. Like the things that I'm going to teach you today are things that I know for a fact you will use for the rest of your career. Let's get into the first principle. Principle one is if you keep trying to make lifetime career decisions, you will keep feeling stuck in your career. And this one is not your fault. A lot of times we have been taught, at least the education system in most countries, in America and Nigeria for a fact, I know those two because I've lived in those countries, they make us think that the way to make a career decision is you go to college, you get a degree, you get a job that's connected to that degree, and then you stay in that job for 20, 15, 30 years, whatever. You stay in that job until you retire or you die. And I know it's morbid, but this is how, let me know, am I lying or is this how you were taught to make a career decision? Let me know in the chat. The problem with this is that who you are today is not who you were 5 years ago, is not who you will be in 5 years. You are consistently evolving. In fact, our core desires and motivators change about every 2 years on average, or with every major life change we experience. Who you are changes. And so two things happen when you think of your next job as needing to be the right thing for the rest of your life. When you're thinking, oh, I need to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, you either stay in that job or in miserable jobs beyond the expiration dates. And yes, your jobs have expiration dates. Or because you're saying you need to make this big rest of your life decision, it becomes heavy and overwhelming. And so this feels like this really heavy choice you have to make. And so it just keeps you stuck. Instead of making a decision to move, it's like, what am I going to enjoy for the next 10 years, 15 years? It keeps you stuck. And so unhappy Ursula is someone who often thinks, I need to figure out what job I'll enjoy for the next 10 years, the next 5 years, for the rest of my life. And that leaves you feeling overwhelmed by the decision. Fatima, on the other hand, thinks my next career move is just a way to express who I am in this season of my life. And that makes the process more exciting and more reflective of who you are. So that's the first principle. If you keep trying to make lifetime career decisions, you will keep feeling stuck. The second principle is if you keep letting fear drive your decision making, you are going to give over control of your career. If fear is in the driver's seat, you are not in the driver's seat. And after working with hundreds of women, I know that these are the most common fears. And so as I share, I want you to let me know how many of these fears resonate with you. When it comes to making a career transition or changing careers, most women are usually afraid of failure. What if I get into another job and I'm not good at it? Or what if I try to find a fulfilling career and I figure out there's nothing out there for me? They're afraid of making less money. I can't make good money doing something else. This is the best money I'm ever going to make. I've never made this much money in my life. They're afraid of making a bad investment. What if I hire a career coach? What if I hire a resume coach and it doesn't work out? Or I have hired a coach in the past and it didn't work out, so now I don't want to invest anymore. They're afraid of not having the right skills. I've been doing the same thing in my career for so many years. I don't think I have the skills to do anything else. They're afraid that they will need new qualifications to be successful. Oh, I'm going to have to go back to school, get another degree, get a certificate. They're afraid of change. What else is out there? Am I going to hate what's out there? Can I be successful with what's out there? Which leads to the unknown. I don't know what other jobs I can do out there. I don't know what other jobs will be satisfying or fulfilling. They're afraid of having to start over again, especially this one is big. If you have been in your career for at least 8 years, you're like, I don't want to start from the beginning again. I developed skills. I've developed a network. I've made money. Am I going to go back to the bottom? They're afraid of what other people would think. This one is big if you have what on paper looks like a good job. People will think I'm crazy for leaving this job. People will think I don't know what I'm doing. They'll say I gave up a good paycheck. Or you're afraid of a new job just not working out. Again, let me know in the chat. Am I lying or am I saying the truth? Let me know. And most times, all these fears will just keep you stuck in that job that you hate. And the problem with this is that the only way to overcome fear is through action. That's it. Because your fear is just telling you that you're doing something and your fear is not sure. Your brain is not sure if that thing is going to work out. And the fear will not go away until you prove that the thing you're trying to do is safe. Fear doesn't go away until you take action. And your fear is even louder if you actually try to change a situation in the past and it didn't work out. Like if you are someone who you've actually tried to change jobs, you've tried to make a difference, and you just ended up back in a job where 3 months in you were unhappy again. Now what your fear is saying is, I already tried to change. It didn't work out. I can't do it successfully. Maybe a fulfilling career is just not in the works for me. Maybe I just don't know. Maybe I just am meant to be miserable at work. And the problem here is that you are now equating the quality of your decisions to the quality of the outcomes. The quality of your decisions are not synonymous with the quality of the outcomes you make. So yes, you try to change your situation and it didn't work out, but here's what I want you to realize. You can make very good decisions and still experience crappy outcomes because the outcomes aren't always in your control. And so your fear is trying to make you think you are bad at making career decisions, so you just stop making career decisions. You're like, I already tried. It didn't work out, so it's not for me. I'm just going to tough it out. I'm just going to stick it out. And so Ursula is going to say, I'll change my situation once I stop feeling fear. Problem, the fear is not going to go away until you change your situation. It's a chicken and egg situation. What came first, the chicken or the egg? The fear or the career change? You need to change the career before the fear goes away. Fatima realizes my fear is just a sign that I'm moving out of my comfort zone. That's all it is. And there's nothing wrong with that because change doesn't happen inside your comfort zone. You have to move out of your comfort zone to experience change. And so that's the second principle. If you keep letting fear drive your decision-making, you give over control of your career. Your emotions, which are not fact, are now controlling your career instead of you. And the third principle that I want you to embrace and understand is if you keep avoiding investments, your career and life fulfillment will keep eluding you. Here's the thing. You cannot find a fulfilling career without investing at least two of these: time, energy, and money. And guess what? Most of you already invest in the first two, right? When I talk about reading the books, talking to your mentors, doing the free career test, hiring the resume coach, in fact, that's money. You already invest in all three of these things. You're just not aware that you're doing it. You can't avoid investments to experience big change. And I'm saying this because I realized this pattern in my own life about 2 years ago. It's like, hold up, when I wanted to advance my business, I had to invest all three of these. Shoot, I'm still investing all three of these. Y'all, I'm tired. When I wanted to change my health, I had to invest money in Beachbody. I love Beachbody. In fact, I invested money in a meal delivery service because your girl was tired of grocery shopping. When I wanted to improve my relationships, I had to invest time and energy, sometimes money, but my love language is gift, so I love to receive gifts, but definitely invest in time and energy. You cannot improve any area of your life without investments. And a lot of times we're trying to save on all three of these, and it's just not possible. You're going to therapy, you're buying books, you're talking to your mentors, you're doing research on Google. You are already investing all three of these in one way, shape, or form. And so your career and life fulfillment are behind the intentional investments you haven't yet made. You haven't paused and been intentional about the investments you're making, which is why you're trying all these things, but they're just leaving you feeling overwhelmed and unsuccessful. And a lot of us, sometimes we don't realize that sometimes we are actually operating in a scarcity mindset. And Leslie is someone who really just brought this to light for me. Leslie worked with me in FYFC. I want to say in 2021, she went through FYFC. And when she came through the program, she knew she wanted to change her career, but she was confused. She said she was operating on a scarcity mindset. And so a scarcity mindset is when you believe that there are limited opportunities and resources available to you. So you don't think that you have the opportunities or the resources to be successful. And so you feel fear, you feel competition, you just focus on what you're lacking as opposed to what is possible for you. And so Leslie is someone who she said she had not invested in herself at a high level before. But once she made the decision to commit and she said, you know what? I'm investing for her. It was the money and also at the time that she was investing in herself. She said she realized that it wasn't so scary at all. In fact, it gave her a relentless push to show up for herself. And so when she went through Find Your Fulfilling Career, the first 3 sessions helped her reconnect to what she considered to be true about herself. And she didn't give space for her career in the past. And now Leslie is so much more confident in her career choices. She has fun with them. In fact, I got an email from Leslie last year. I loved it. She was talking about how she's still using what she learned in FYFC. I think I'll send it to y'all via email. But the thing is, when you invest in yourself, you become more motivated to show up for yourself. And so Ursula thinks, you know what, I'm already exhausted from my current job. I don't have the energy for a career change. Meanwhile, yeah, Ursula is already investing time and energy. She's going to therapy, she's taking free career tests online, but it's not yielding results, which is why she feels exhausted. Fatima, on the other hand, says, I am worthy of investments that I make to improve my career and life. That's what Fatima tells herself. Every investment she makes, she's worthy of. And these investments, when she invests with strategy, it yields a return on investment, more joy, more confidence, better health, more fulfillment, more satisfaction, more money in her career. And so that's the third core principle. If you keep avoiding investment, your career and life fulfillment will keep eluding you. So these are the 3 core principles that I want you to sort of sit with. I hope you wrote them down. If you didn't, take a screenshot of this page real quick. If you're on Instagram, share it on Instagram in your stories, tag me so I can repost to my stories. I want to see what resonated with y'all. But take a screenshot of this real quick because I want you to sit and really reflect with these core principles, these foundational truths. Once you embrace these 3 core principles, now you're ready to follow the 2 simple steps. Right now, you're ready for the strategy once you have the mindset. Now, mind you, simple doesn't mean easy. We often conflate the two. Simple and easy are not the same thing. Easy means requiring or indicating little effort, little thought, or little reflection, achieved without great effort. That's what easy means. Simple means easily understood or done, plain, basic, or uncomplicated in form. I will never, ever, ever be a coach that tells you that career transition requires little effort, little thought, or little reflection. Anybody that tells you that is lying, y'all. You require all 3 of those. You have to put effort into it, reflecting on yourself, reflecting on who you are, reflecting on your goals, on your vision. You have to be an active part of the process. Anybody who says it's easy is lying straight up. But it can be uncomplicated. It can be basic. It can be simple. And that's what I'm showing you today. So let's talk about step 1. Get clarity about who you are. It's that simple. The first step, the first way you can figure out what your fulfilling career path is just understand who are you in the season of your life. And you might be thinking, what do you mean by get clarity about who you are? Because I'm not saying what's your favorite color. Mine is purple, by the way. My wedding ring is purple. I'm not saying what's your favorite food. Plantain and eggs for me. I'm not saying any of those things. But what I'm saying is you have to understand specific areas of your life that impact or influence your career outcomes. You have to be clear about what your non-negotiable values are, what your zone of genius interest areas are, and what your high power skills are. Once you have clarity about what you value, what you're interested in, and what skills you like using, then and only then can you actually research aligned career options to see what you will find most fulfilling. And so you begin by building a vision of what you want in your life and career, starting with your values. Your values are your principles. They're a standard of behavior, what you judge as being important in your life. That's what your values are. And your non-negotiable values when it comes to work are those core beliefs, those core values, those core systems that if they are violated by a company, you are 98% guaranteed going to be unhappy in your job. And y'all, the only reason I said 98% is because I'm a researcher. So I left for a 2% standard of error, but really it's 100%. You cannot be unhappy in a job that is violating your values. When you work and live out of alignment with your values, you end up being dissatisfied, frustrated, and discouraged. Even worse, if you don't clarify your non-negotiable values, companies will keep catfishing you. This is when you go into a company and you're like, what they told me in the interview is not what's happening. Like, this place is a hot mess. They lied to you. They played in your face. And now you're only 3 weeks in the job and you already hate it. It's because you went in without being clear about your values. Because when you are clear about your values, the way you audit companies is different. The questions you ask in the interview is different. Having clarity about your values is a game changer. And Jody is a client who went through FYFC. And when she came to me before FYFC, she was feeling disinterested and unmotivated at work after almost 16 years in her industry. Her work was unfulfilling. She didn't feel like she was making a difference or an impact. She felt undervalued. And so for her, when she identified her core values in FYFC, she said that was a game changer for her because she already had a sense of what she liked to do. For Jody, it was writing and editing. She could tell you that she liked writing, but she had no idea what jobs that would lead to or what types of companies she could be in. But once she clarified her values in FYFC, she knew exactly what an organization would have to have for it to be aligned for her. Because of all this learning and clarity, step one, clarity that Jody had, she was able to show up fully authentic in her job search for the first time in 22 years. And she secured 2 interviews. I didn't update this, but she secured a new job also. And she said FYFC broadened her horizon of what was possible in her career. Imagine securing interviews by showing up as authentically yourself as a Black woman. Let's not forget that. Jody is a Black woman who showed up authentically and secured aligned jobs. I mean, I don't even have words for what to say. Okay. So you need clarity about your values. Your values help you establish your boundaries and potential companies that will be aligned, but not what kind of jobs you will thrive in. Your zone of genius interest areas is the next thing you need to clarify because that will tell you the types of jobs you'll enjoy. So your zone of genius interest areas are the topics, the ideas, the concepts that you have a genuine curiosity and desire to learn more about. So your zone of genius interest areas, they inform the roles, the actual jobs you'll enjoy, and the industries you will thrive in. So when I say industries, healthcare, education, entertainment, tech, government, like what industries will you thrive in? And this is so important. Clarifying your interest is so important because it helps you be intentional in how you move in your career and how you pick a role. Jasmine is someone who she said she was not moving with intention or being strategic with how she approached her career. She was living in the moment. She wasn't thinking about the long-term impact. And she was also Jasmine is someone who was very focused on what other people expected of her as opposed to what she personally wanted. And so when she went through FYFC, she was able to clarify her core values, clarify what energized her and her interests. And so clarifying her interest allowed her to be very intentional and very strategic about how she moved in her career. She said it allowed her to check in and see if her career was still serving her. Now, when Jasmine looks at job descriptions in companies, she knows how to assess if they align with her, and she loves the idea of alignment. Once you have your foundation, which is your values, you have an idea of the general space you'll be in, which are your interests, you now need to clarify your skills specifically. And I always use this word high power skills intentionally because we all have many skills. In fact, let me know in the chat, type in the chat real quick. How many years have you been working? Just put a number in the chat while I take a sip of water. I want to know how many years have you been working? Just type in the chat. Let me see. 10, 5, 8. Okay. How many years have you been working? Ooh, the chat is 20. Okay. So let's see, that's the thing that this is why I asked. If you have been working for any number of years, you have developed many, many skills. Especially y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. Especially those companies where they hire you for one job, but by the end of the job, you're doing 3 people's jobs. Like they just kept piling on the tasks and the activities. That reminds me of one of my clients that I'll tell you all about recently, Lauren. When she quit her job, they had to hire 3 people to replace her. You develop a ton of skills over time. But just because you have a skill doesn't mean you need to be regularly using those skills in your career. Like just because you can use project management software doesn't mean you should be teaching people how to do it. Like I always tell people, I can do math in my head, but I don't like it. I don't feel good at it. I need a calculator. I can take it makes me feel dumb. Let me be, and I have a PhD. Math always makes me feel like I'm not smart, but I know I'm smart. So it wouldn't make sense if I was an accountant where I had to be crunching numbers day in and day out. So your high power skills are those skills that make you feel strong, powerful, and confident when you use them. And for you to enjoy your work, you need to be leveraging these skills about 80% of the time. So it's not just about what skills you have, which is synonymous with your work history, which remember I told you earlier, your work history doesn't work. You need to step out of it and say, what are the skills you developed across your whole life, not just your job, and which ones do you actually enjoy using? Those are the ones you want to leverage and get clear about to pick your next role. It's also important to note that your skills are not your work tasks. A lot of times, and I see some of you said, you've been working for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 8 years. When you've been working for a long time, you tend to start thinking about your work tasks as your skills, which is why you don't think you can do anything else because you've been on the same path for so long, you think I can only do this path. But when you differentiate between your work task and your skills, you'll be able to identify your transferable skills more seamlessly. And I told y'all about Lauren. Lauren is someone who, when she came to FYFC, she was feeling down in her career. Her job was frustrating and draining, and she was on a track to nowhere. And she said because of FYFC, she realized that one, she was worthy of a fulfilling career, but she also learned about her transferable skills and how she wouldn't need to start from scratch to land a fulfilling role. She realized how important her values and interests were going to be to find a fulfilling career. And she said she realized she was way out of alignment. So once she clarified her interest and her values, she said she was so excited about the potential careers. She couldn't tell you the last time she felt that way about work. So what does this look like practically, right? Values, interests, skills. Let's use Christine as an example. So meet Christine. Christine is currently an outpatient competency coordinator in mental health. She's unhappy at work because her current field is draining her emotionally and physically, and she feels unsafe psychologically most times, and so it impacts her personal life. And so what she wants to truly enjoy what she does. She wants to build back her confidence and she wants to have financial stability. And she's worried about not finding or being successful in a new role. So if Christine were to get clarity, she were to sit down and get clarity, what would that look like? Well, she would do research and realize that, oh, what she values is intellectual status. She values honesty and integrity. She values security, work-life balance, and independence. A job would have to have all of these for her to feel good in it. They're non-negotiable. Then she would get clarity about her interest and realize, oh, I really love creating resources, systems, and guides in office management and human resources training. What we're seeing here is human resources and training is sort of the interest area, and the resources are sort of the types of activities that she's interested in doing. And then she might say, okay, what I have a lot of skills, right? So if you go back to, I said she's an outpatient competency coordinator, Christine can do paperwork, she can consult with vendors, she can write emails, she can lead meetings, she can do presentations, but none of those are her high power skills. Her high power skills is analyzing, organizing, learning data, liaising, advising, coaching, monitoring, supervising, and leading people. That's what this would look like practically. When Christine has this level of clarity, now she can figure out what jobs align with these aspects of who I am. So the clarity work is focused on you because a fulfilling career has to be aligned with you. Only when you have that clarity can you actually research aligned options, not using your work history, but using who you are. Your fulfilling career will not just fall into your lap, right? Like you have to be an active part of the process of discovering it. And research is a major key to finding meaningful work. That's why I said in the beginning, it does require your active reflection and thought. And your research must be focused on 3 areas. Oftentimes we just scroll and look at job titles, but job titles are only 1/3 of the pie. You have to research roles, industries, and companies. You have to research roles because roles are the tasks and activities that you will engage in on any given day at work. Your skills and interests inform which roles are fulfilling. You have to research industries because that's the primary business or economic sector you want to work in. Because role, I could be a project manager, that's a role, in entertainment industry, in education, in tech, and all three of those jobs, same job title, will look different. So the industry is informed by your values and your interests. And then companies, what is the organization type and structure you want to work in? Your values and interests also inform what kinds of companies you will thrive in. Did you notice how your skills inform only one of those core areas? I always tell my clients, we don't ever eliminate career options based on skills because skills can always be developed. But that is how most women eliminate career options. I don't have the skills, so I'm not going to apply. Girl, you can learn new skills. But your values and your interests, those are core and foundational at every season of your life. So back to Christine. When she has this information about herself, then what she can do is she'll go do research, and in Find Your Fulfilling Career, I teach you how to research, what to research, where to research, what platforms to research. And she realizes that, you know what, her aligned role is a supervisor and program management role in government. So how does this make sense? Well, remember her high power skills, liaison, mentoring, monitoring, supervising people. That comes in with the supervisor part of the role. As a program manager, she gets to create resources and guides. And in government, if you look back to her values, in general, just government roles tend to be high on integrity and intellectual status, and sometimes work-life balance, because they be taking those public holidays. They get MLK Day off. They get, they're like education. We get all the holidays, right? President's Day, Government Day, they be making up holidays sometimes. My point is, three of her values are covered in the industry. And then when we think about security, even though government might not have that security piece, but they tend to be very secure in that you get to have tenure in most of those roles. So that value is being met. And then she gets independence by being in a supervisory role. Let me know in the chat if this made it come together for you. Just put yes or no. Just put yes or no in the chat if looking at Christine helps you understand clarity. And what I mean by you need clarity before you can figure out your aligned role. Great. I'm seeing the yeses come through. I love it. We're tracking. Awesome. So your meaningful career is found at the intersection of your values, your interests, and your skills. So this first step is important because a fulfilling career is aligned with you. You need to clarify who you are to clarify your next most aligned career move. Without clarity, you can't even complete the second step. Clarity is the only thing you need to figure out your most aligned career move, to position yourself as the best candidate for a job, and confidently negotiate a 5-figure salary increase. Clarity. Once you have clarity, you can do step 2, which is to market yourself for the role that you want. So what do I mean by market yourself? Well, marketing is the activity or business of promoting and selling your skills and accomplishments to secure an aligned job that pays well. Not promoting your work tasks, not promoting your responsibilities that you did in your job, promoting your skills and accomplishments, because that is what transfers across companies and industries. So when you don't have clarity, you can't market yourself well. With clarity, marketing yourself is extremely simple. And that's our keyword here, simple, uncomplicated. You need clarity to effectively search, network, and apply to jobs. Clarity in your job search starts with cultivating what I call radical focus on the role you want to secure, which simplifies your job search. Right? So you have to simplify the search process. Radical focus. What is the one job I'm applying to? You can do like 5 jobs. I can tell you right now off the jump, 4 different jobs I know I would be successful at. But you need to simplify the process. How do we simplify when we're searching? Create your ideal job profile. You build your job search schedule, and you clarify your daily, weekly, monthly tasks. So your ideal job profile is, what are the ideal tasks, the ideal company, the ideal industry, the ideal manager, because I know y'all know about those toxic managers, and the ideal team that you need to be working in to be successful. You have to write all of that, make it clear, plain as day. Once you do that, then you build your simple job search schedule. Because I know some of you have been job searching and you found it stressful because you're applying to jobs. You feel like you're always at your computer. Shoot, you're scrolling LinkedIn at 2 a.m. in the morning and you still can't find a job. You just want to throw your laptop across the room. Tell me if you've almost thrown your laptop away at some point when job searching because you were so frustrated. I know I'm not alone. I see yes in the chat. Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about. When you have a simple job search schedule, you can take care of yourself while you're searching. So for example, here's a sample schedule that I share with my clients in Find Your Fulfilling Career. What I want you to notice here is this is working a full-time job, okay? Hardcore boundaries. And if you've been getting my emails, which if you're here, you have been getting my emails, you know I'm going to talk to you about the Better Boundaries call. You need hardcore boundaries at that full-time job. But what I want you to see, like the yellow blocks here, that's where you're upskilling. The red blocks is where you're going through, you know, the program. The green blocks is where you're actually searching and saving roles, which is different. So that's the light green, different from the dark green blocks, which is where you're actually submitting applications and talking to recruiters. And then here's the key. Here's what I want you to notice. At the bottom of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the dark blue box, that's self-care. That's family time. That's downtime. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., you're taking care of yourself. On Saturday, you're doing some upskilling, you're doing some research, but that's it. Saturday is wide open to do whatever you want. Notice how Sunday ain't even on this calendar. This is what a simple schedule can look like to where you can job search without burning out. And when you have clarity, when you're not looking for 10 roles, but looking for just one role because you have radical focus, this is how you can job search. And then in addition, the last piece is what are the daily, weekly, monthly tasks? What are you doing each day in your job search, each week, each month? Everything, all this I'm sharing, I break it down for you and find your fulfilling career. Once you have simplified, then and only then can you actually start job searching. And when you search, you can use the involved method, which is where you're connecting with people to search, and the up to chance method, which is where you're using job boards. And in FYFC, I teach you how to use both in tandem effectively. Without simplifying your job search, you will not have a clear and simple plan, and your confidence will keep suffering for it because your job search will make you miserable. That was Sarah's story. Sarah, before working with me, her job search was she would find a job she thought she was supposed to like and then frantically hack her resume to fit. She felt like she was spinning her wheels. But after FYFC, she learned to start first and foremost with her clarity and then market her skills for the role. It helped her develop healthier boundaries where she separated her worth from roles and she secured a job within 4 months with a $55,000 salary increase. Once you know exactly what job you want to secure, it's time to actually start building relationships. And this is so important because only about 40% of jobs are actually posted online. So when you are job searching online, you're missing out on 60% of available jobs. And every job on average gets 250 applications. And it is more now. Like most jobs are getting thousands of applications. It's why companies keep ghosting you. They don't have the bandwidth to respond. And so when you only submit your resume to job boards, legit, it's like you're sending your resume to a black hole, never to be seen or heard from again. And so instead, you need to build your network by connecting with key decision makers, people that you already know, people who work in companies you want to be in, recruiters, hiring managers. And when you connect with people, you go from just being a name on a piece of paper to being a real human, a real person. When you have conversations like informational interviews, you tap into the hidden job market and you become more efficient in your job search. The hidden job market is what we call the other 60% of jobs that are not on job boards. That's in the hidden job market. And for this one, I have to share you two stories because once you start having conversations, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. So Patsy is someone who, before she came to me, she had been in her field for about 14 years. And so she was pretty much at rock bottom in her career when she came. And she said her job was so challenging and difficult, it caused her to lose confidence in herself and her abilities. She was ready to leave the industry and do something completely different, but wasn't sure what other jobs were out there for someone like her. And so with FYFC, she was able to clearly identify and articulate her values. And from the first week, she got hope and opened up to possibilities in her career. Here's where I want you to tap in. Because she was so focused in her job search and confident, she got a job offer without applying. I feel like dropping a mic, y'all. Without applying. Alejandra is someone else who she used, because I teach you how to create what I call a magnetic LinkedIn profile in Find Your Fulfilling Career. And so when she used the power of LinkedIn, someone sent a job to Alejandra. That's why I call it a magnetic, I can't speak, y'all, a magnetic LinkedIn profile, because you literally attract jobs to yourself. And so she used all the strategies, created a tailored resume, tailored cover letter, because in the program, I give you templates. We do personalized audits. Needless to say, she landed the job. She's making close to 6 figures. She has great benefits and perks, and she's not working with a great group of people. Mind you, this was like 2 years ago. So I'm sure, and I should probably check in with her, but and this is what people always forget is, yes, you can increase your salary now, but over the years, she probably has already hit 6 figures. Once you have clarity about the role you want, you have your stellar marketing materials, only then do you actually start applying to positions. This is where people get it wrong. You try to start applying before you have clarity. And you're clicking the easy apply button on LinkedIn, which you should never do, by the way, and it's just stressing you out. And when it comes to applying, you are probably struggling with marketing yourself for one of 3 reasons. And you know what? I'm going to put all 3 on the screen, and I want you to just type 1, 2, or 3. Let me know which one you're struggling with. One is you don't know how to identify and articulate your transferable skills. 2, you don't know how to position yourself as the ideal candidate. Or 3, you don't know how to create effective marketing materials in your job search. 1, 2, or 3. Let me know, which one are you struggling with? I see all. Number 3, so marketing materials. 1 and 2, transferable skills and positioning yourself, all of them. Okay, I see number 3, so marketing materials again. Okay, so the key to targeted applications is leveraging your career brand collateral to effectively market your fit for the role you want, not the roles you've had. Let me say that again. Market yourself for the role you want, not the roles you've had. That is the mistake most women make. So first of all, your career brand collateral is your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and your cover letter. And when you use your work history to market yourself, you only talk about the jobs you've had in the past. And if you haven't been happy in the jobs you've had in the past, we don't want to market you for those jobs because we don't like them. We want new jobs, right? Different job, fulfilling job, aligned job. So you have to look at that history and extrapolate from that history, what can I use to highlight to market myself for the job I actually want? But guess what? If you don't have clarity about the job you actually want, how will you know what to market yourself for? You won't. That's why clarity is so important. You can't market yourself if you're applying to 10 different jobs, 5 different jobs. But when there's one job, radical focus, marketing yourself is simple. And so to effectively market yourself, you must develop radical focus. You can't think that because you're applying to hundreds of jobs, you'll get more applications. Job search math is not regular math. More applications is more rejections, more frustration, more discouragement. It's harder to network when you're applying to multiple jobs. You confuse recruiters when you're applying to multiple jobs. It's harder to market yourself when you're applying to multiple jobs. Stop staying open to jobs to increase your chances of getting a job. I hear this so much. What job do you want? Well, I'm staying open. I can do marketing. I can do customer service. I just do whatever comes my way. Girl, you're not a book. Stop staying open. Stop it. Close the book. Radical focus. What is the one job we're looking for? That's how you simplify the process. So let me bring it back to Christine, right? We talked about Christine's values, all of that. So how might Christine market herself? Remember, she was an outpatient coordinator. And I told you she had a lot of skills, right? But the key to marketing herself is to highlight the relevant skills and accomplishments that market herself for this supervisor and program manager role, not for outpatient coordination. So that's her supervisory and leadership skills, how she improves processes and a process improvement, and the data analysis skills she has. That's it. That's all Christine needs to highlight. And then when she goes into interviews, she's going to ask intentional questions, not generic questions, because generic questions makes it easier for companies to catfish you. But because Christine knows her values, she knows work-life balance is important to her, she knows integrity is important to her, she can ask intentional questions like, how would the employees describe the work environment? How would employees describe relationships between manager and their team members, right? Not, what kind of employee are you looking for? They already told you that in the job description. Stop it. And so when you have radical focus, when you have radical focus, it's so much easier to market yourself, and then you can secure an aligned role with a 5-figure salary increase. And that was Chantel's story. So Chantel is someone who, when she first came to me, she was looking for a slight career change, and she didn't know how to make all her unrelated skills and responsibilities look transferable for the job she wanted. So when she used our resume strategies to talk about her experiences, she landed the job. And this is what I love about Find Your Fulfilling Career, is that after the first 4 weeks, you don't have to watch everything in the program to be successful, right? Like literally, I give you a blueprint where you can do the resume part and then and then apply for jobs, and then you go to the interview part, and then you get an offer, and then we talk about your negotiation. Like I can tell you exactly what videos to watch when you need to watch them. The first 4 weeks is the only time where, as a cohort, we move together, because that's when we're doing the clarity work, and that's the work that most people, like every coach you've worked with, that's what they're missing. I stand on this one. Your coaches aren't telling you about your values, your interests, and your skills the way I teach you. And that's no shade to them, because you need different coaches for different seasons of your life. But if you're someone who you've been on the same path for years and you want to do something else and you have no idea what something else is, a resume coach can't help you. You need clarity. And so Chantel is someone who used this system 3 different times in her career, and she landed a job every single time. When I tell you that this is a system you will use for the rest of your career, I mean it. I want to be the last career coach you ever work with. That's always my goal with every client, that you have the system that you need for the rest of your career. And Chantel over time has been able to increase her salary by $30,000. An intentional job search doesn't actually stop with the job offer. That's what most people think. Oh, I get the job offer, done. No, false. It continues through the negotiation and 3 months after securing the role. Because here's what happens when you're not intentional through the negotiation, then you get lowballed, or you don't market yourself well, or you get into the job and you're unhappy after 1 month. Without a strategy, you will find yourself being so nervous that you don't show your expertise in interviews, you don't negotiate offers, and you leave money on the table. So this securing securing success, when you have clarity, you can ace the interview, you can secure the bag, and you can plan for success in the first 90 days in the new job. So when I say ace the interview, there are 3 different phases of an interview, right? Before, during, and after. When you have clarity, you know how to answer questions like, tell me about yourself. Why should we hire you for this job? You can have multiple conversations with people, and your career story will stay the same because you have clarity. In FYFC, I literally give you word for word what to say in interviews. Like literally plug and play templates, like the actual formula for what to say. When you have clarity, you can clearly talk about the value you're bringing to the table and why that makes you deserve more money. We don't negotiate with emotions. Like if I ask you, why do you deserve more money? And you say, because I want it, that's not a good enough answer. It should be because here's the impact I'm making. Here's the value I'm bringing. Here's the difference I'm making. And that's when you secure the bag and increase your salary by at least $10,000 minimum. Women who don't negotiate their salary at the beginning of the career leave anywhere between $1 million and $1.5 million on the table in lost earnings over their lifetime. I don't know about you, y'all, but $1 million is a lot of money. I don't want to leave $1 million on the table, ever. When you have clarity, job searching is simple because you have one unified story that you're telling about yourself. You know how to market yourself for every phase of the job search. And Nina is someone who before FYFC, job searching was a roller coaster for her. She was exhausted. She was getting interviews, but not the offer. And oftentimes when you're going into interviews but not getting the offer, it's because you're not marketing yourself well in the interviews. And it's usually because you don't have clarity. You don't know how to talk about your skills for the job you want. You don't know how to talk about your skills in a way that aligns with the job description that they hired you or they want to hire you for. So once Nina started using the systems in FYFC, she first of all learned patience and endurance because job searching is a process. But what I love about Nina is she says she got $17,000 more than she asked God for. Nina wanted to increase her salary by $20,000. She increased her salary by $37,000. And she said that made her feel so much more confident in investing in herself financially. Remember what I said about investing in yourself? When you invest in yourself, you show up differently. So this marketing step is crucial because marketing is key to a successful job search. The most qualified candidate rarely ever gets the job. Don't let anybody lie to you. Don't put your head down and do the job. You will not get the job. You will not get the promotion. You will not get the raise. The candidate who markets themselves best usually gets the job. The person who can talk the talk, walk the walk, smile, right? The person who knows how to talk about their skills clearly in a way that aligns with the outcomes the company wants, that's who usually gets the job, not the person who can do the job. Let me preface and say, especially in America, because that's the system I'm in, right? It's not just about being good at your job. Almost every woman I work with is brilliant. I know that every one of you here, that you are brilliant women. And somebody will lie to you and say, just put your head down and do your job and you'll get promoted. Lies. You have to be able to market, highlight, put on a billboard your accomplishments to get the results that you want. And so everything I just showed you is the step-by-step of the 2 frameworks that I use to help my clients get results in FYFC, Find Your Fulfilling Career. Like, these are the frame, this is the simple, this is exactly how clients get results. Right? Like, the clarity is the Visa Career Clarity Framework. And this is the framework that has helped hundreds of women across 4 continents in over 20 industries in 30 different roles go from stuck and confused to clear and confident in their careers. The simplified job search method is the system that has helped multiple women secure both 5 and 6-figure salary increases. And so at this point, if you're anything like the women I typically work with, you're likely thinking, or you've struggled with thoughts like, there's nothing better out there for me. I should be grateful that I at least have a job. I'm going to have to get another degree to make a transition. Work is just meant to be miserable. That's why it's called work. Investing in my career feels like a gamble. What if it doesn't pay off? Investing in myself is self-indulgent. I should focus on my family. I'm too old to make a career change. It's too late to start over. Newsflash, no, it's not. And you're not starting over. There are no good jobs out there. It's a terrible job market. Well, if you keep thinking that, then sure, you won't find one, right? If you think there's none out there for you, you won't find it. Oh, this last one is my favorite one because I hear it so many times. I need to wait for the right time. Let me know if you've ever said this. Just put yes in the chat. And this one is especially big, especially when people are saying right now that the economy is so bad. That's what people are telling us. The economy is what everybody's screaming. And people will say, I need to wait for the right time. So here's my question for you. If I told you today to pick a piece of paper and a pencil and to write a date of when the right time is going to be, can you tell me when the right time is going to be? Or if I say, tell me 5 specific things, 5 things that will let you know if it's the right time for you to change your career, can you tell me 5 specific concrete things that are not based on your emotion? Because here's the thing, most often the right time doesn't exist. You create the right time. The right time is when you decide that you're sick of feeling unhealthy, unmotivated, undervalued, bored, and unseen in your job. That's the right time. You have to decide that you're worth it and you deserve more in your career. The right time won't magically fall from the sky. It doesn't exist until you create it. You have to create the right time. Especially, hear me on this, especially if you're a Black woman or a woman of color in corporate America, you have to create your own right time because ain't nobody gonna make it for you, at least not in your career. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about. They will keep playing in your face. They will keep moving the goalpost. They will keep giving you empty promises in that job that you keep sticking it out. You keep waiting for it to get better. They will keep playing in your face. You have to create your own right time. Hoo-yah, I just got hot. I got on the soapbox there for a moment. Let me take a deep breath because I be getting riled up when I think of this. People will lie to you and they'll make you think that there's some magical, the sky will look a certain way when the right day is coming. It's not coming. It's not. Until you make it happen, it's not coming. And so let me just highlight that for you, that there is no right time until you make a decision. And the reason why I know this for a fact is because that was my story. Remember I told you at the beginning that I was unhappy, I was miserable, and people always ask me, always, when I go on like podcast interviews, how did you know it was time to change? I didn't know, I decided. Like, yeah, literally, it was just a day where I was unhappy in that small office. And I said to myself, God did not create me to be miserable. So if I'm miserable, something is wrong. I need to make a change. That was literally it. Like, hold up. If I am fearfully and wonderfully made, but I'm living in misery, I'm not walking in my fearful and wonderful making. I have to change something. I made a decision. That was it. And I haven't looked back since then. And that's where a lot of the women I work with struggle. And actually, this is y'all the first ones hearing it. But for this round of FYFC, I'm planning to do a special workshop on taking decisive action, because that's where I see most women struggling in the program is you just can't make decisions and stick to them. And usually it's because of all those fears I mentioned in the beginning. Fear that it wouldn't work out, or because it didn't work out in the past, it wouldn't work out again. And that's what you don't realize is that's just your brain doing its job, but you have to push through that. I got off on a tangent. Let me keep going. You showed up here today because you want to be in a career you actually enjoy. Like, you wouldn't have been with me for the past hour if that was not your desire. And I know you're tired of being unhappy and unfulfilled at your job. Like most of you at the beginning, you told me that you were an unhappy hustler. And so your goal is probably to go from unhappy hustler to fulfilled Fatima. You know that once you finally get super clear about what you want in your career, you can live on purpose and feel like you're making meaningful contributions to the world and get paid well. Now, it takes most people 3 or more years to recognize how they are getting in their own way and get out of their way so they can finally thrive in their careers. And when I say 3 or more years, this is not arbitrary. After working with hundreds of women, I've actually figured out the timeline, the exact timeline for career dissatisfaction. And so I want you to take a look at this timeline on the screen as I read through it. Take a look and then let me know what year you're at. Right? So the first 2 to 3 years is usually maybe you get a first promotion or raise. And so you're feeling good about the job. You kind of, okay, you thought it wasn't going to be good, but this raise makes it feel good. So you stick it out. Then by year 5, your work starts feeling off. You're no longer excited. You're no longer engaged. But you stayed 1 more year because you were still hoping. So by year 6, you're simply sticking it out. At this point, you are actually trying to talk yourself out of dissatisfaction. This is where year 6 is where we get deeply into the gaslighting your own self stage. You start gaslighting yourself. I can tough it out. I'm just being dramatic. Maybe I'm the problem. I'm going to regret leaving. It would be a waste of all the time so far to leave this job. And so you stay 2 more years. By year 8, your unhappiness has intensified. Your fear that it wouldn't work out and your responsibilities, your bills, are the only things keeping you in the job at this point. Every day you're waking up miserable. So you stay. By year 10, at this point, you're just coasting. Like, you're still unhappy and afraid, but you're at your wit's end. So at this point, you're like, you know what? I don't even know how I can fix this. So you're just going through the motions. You're just going with the flow. You're just coasting. Let me know in the chat, what year are you at? Put the number and let me know what year you're at. Year 8. Okay, so unhappiness, intensifying, fear, and responsibilities are the main things keeping you in that job. Anybody else seeing themselves on this timeline? What year are you at? 7.5. So we're in between that. We're sticking it out, but we're getting a bit into the fear and responsibility. Okay, another 7.5. I think I saw 1.5. So maybe you just got that promotion, that raise. You're still feeling good about the job, but you have a sense that something is off. You have an inkling that something might be off. Okay, so here's my question for you. How many more years can you handle your career situation remaining the same? Like another 1 year, another 2 years, another 5 years, another 8 years? Like, how long? And only you know the answer. But I want you to imagine with me for a moment, okay? Imagine that all those hours that you feel like you've wasted trolling job boards, trying to prove yourself for a job you don't want, all the hours you spent journaling, that you spent reading self-help books, imagine that all those hours you could just wipe the slate clean and start with a fresh approach. Okay, you can start with an approach where everything was laid out step by step with everything that you need to reach your goals. And yes, I'm saying your goals of feeling more engaged and motivated at work, your goal of having a better sense of where you're going in your career, of having clarity about what career paths are available to you, of feeling valued for what you bring to the organization, of feeling like you're making a difference through your work, being excited about the opportunities for growth that are available to you, understanding your value so that you can better assess organizations. Imagine if you knew exactly what to do to hit those goals. But not just that, you stopped feeling alone in your career misery because you're on the journey with other women, a supportive community that's cheering you on, that's encouraging you on the way to similar goals. And imagine that you're doing all that in a supportive space where you realize the things you thought you had to beg for in your career are actually the baseline for what you expect for yourself in your career. And doing all this, you also had access to an expert coach who has been working as a career counselor and coach for almost 10 years now, researching and teaching career development for over 5 years, who has transitioned from her own unfulfilling career into a career she's been thriving on. Imagine being in a space where your confidence is expanded, you get objective eyes on your skills and your value add, and your feelings are validated and your career horizon is expanded. Imagine being in that kind of space, because that's exactly what Find Your Fulfilling Career is. It's exactly that. It's exactly what I just described. This intimate 6-month coaching program was designed to help you clarify your fulfilling career path so you can secure a new job with the 5-figure salary increase. And I told you that today we're officially opening doors for, this is actually the first cohort of the year. One woman already secured her spot. I'm so excited for this cohort because big changes are coming. So what's in the program? Let me break it down. I told you in my last email to you that I was going to break everything down. So first is the curriculum. I just showed this to you. The 2 simple steps, that makes up the 2 frameworks that are in the program. The curriculum is built off of the Clarity curriculum and the Simplified Job Search method. And this helps you learn the foundation you need to find your meaningful career path and secure your aligned job with the 5-figure salary increase. In fact, the curriculum is what guides the entire program timeline, where in the first phase, what you're doing is getting that clarity I talked about. We get clear about who you are. In the second phase, we get clear about your next move and plan your transition. We don't do anything without clarity. And in the last phase is where you're actually job searching so you can secure your aligned role and a salary increase. So what we do is we start with the Visa Career Clarity Framework, right? So we start within the very first week. I'm big on mindset work here because I'm a counselor. I know that your thoughts impact your emotions, which impact your behavior. So I don't do anything without addressing what you're thinking. So I'm not, when I say mindset, I'm not doing like your woo-woo coaches are doing on Instagram right now. No, I'm talking cognitive behavior therapy, right? Like I have training in this. Let me just point that out. So the very first week, we're talking about limiting career beliefs and mindset barriers that might have been keeping you stuck so far. You're actually going to go through the very first, because there are 3 of them, the very first evidence-based clarity assessment that helps us identify what do you believe about work and what has been getting in the way. In the second week, you will identify your top 5 non-negotiable values. So I'm going to teach you exactly what are the types of values that are out there, what are the different categories of core values. You will do a clarity assessment so that within less than an hour, you already know your top 5 non-negotiables. In the third week, we'll clarify your zone of genius interest areas. So you'll do your final clarity assessment so we can figure out what are the industries and the roles that makes the most sense for you. So by just 3 weeks into the program, mind you, week 2 already is where women say they had the most breakthrough. So even just 14 days into the program, breakthrough over breakthrough. But 3 weeks in, this is where we do the bulk of our work, where you use the clarity assessment and you'll come out knowing exactly where you fit in the world of work and the impact you want to make. In fact, in week 2, I give you an impact graph that helps you identify what I just said. Like we use the impact graph to figure out what kind of impact do you want to make, what communities do you want to impact through your career. In week 4, you'll clarify your high power skills so we can identify the skills that you can transfer to other spaces. And this is the week also where you will create your fulfilling career manifesto and your ideal career profile. And I forgot to say, but in week 3, usually I do this activity that women love because we're doing your zone of genius. So when we get in coaching, we'll take everything you've learned and you'll talk to me. And then I actually tell you back what I'm hearing is your zone of genius. And I love women's responses. They're always like, oh, that is me exactly. How did you know? I'm like, yeah, I was built to do this. Like, come on now, you paid me because I'm good at what I do. But in week 5, this is when then you'll identify your top 3 fulfilling career options. And I say 3 because then you're going to go into research. So week 6 and 7, we don't have coaching, but these are implementation weeks where you still have support to me. You're researching your options, but then I teach you how to research in a way that you're already building your network. So I'm already thinking about your job search. You're already getting to know people. You're already having conversations. And I give you everything you need. Emails to reach out to people, questions to ask people, how to run the conversation. I give you everything you need. And then in week 8, we will create your transition plan. Then anywhere from week 5 to 9, you'll have a one-on-one call. So throughout this period, we're having the weekly group coaching sessions. Between week 5 and 9, you'll have a one-on-one call with me once we know your next role so that we can actually build and map out your job search strategy. This first phase, well, this is the first 2 phases. These first 2 phases, I'm telling you, game changer. Emily is someone who, when she came to me, she was one of the people who had a good job on paper, And so the idea of transitioning was really nerve-wracking for her. She said she was afraid people would be disappointed in her. She just had a lot of self-dialogue and fear of communicating. But from the first week of FYFC, I usually do this thing where in the first week, after the first week, I give you custom affirmations and I'll tell you why when you join the program. But that helped Emily build her confidence and courage to tell her parents how she was feeling in her career, and they supported her. And now she is so much more confident about her direction. She said FYFC gave her a lighthouse and the confidence to move toward the lighthouse. And so in just those first 60 days, the first 2 months, you will have everything you need, clarity to move on to your next role. And so then the last phase of the program is where you're job searching. Because people always ask me, do I have to wait 6 months? No. You just get 4 months of coaching support because the average job search takes 3 to 6 months. And so I don't want you to ever feel alone in that process, which is why the program is 6 months long. But most of my clients get a new job within 2 to 4 months of being in the program. And so for the last 4 months of the program, really what it is just job search strategy coaching, weekly coaching, and you can show up, you can come and go as you need. Right? Like, so when you need something, you can drop in, you can come. So usually first Fridays, we're focused on just general job search and transition planning. Second Fridays is usually we're focused on resume, cover letter, LinkedIn, so marketing yourself. Third Fridays is usually focused on application, so networking questions, interviewing questions. And the last Fridays is usually focused on negotiation and success planning. Now, this template is just there to give us a sense of where we're going. But literally, you could just message me and be like, Tega, I have a question about this recruiter who reached out to me. And I'll be like, okay, show up on Friday. We'll talk about it. And that's what my clients do right now. They're like, okay, I'm coming on Friday. And then you'll just hear people's questions and they'll get coaching and you'll go out and do what I suggest and be successful. Now, you can even show up when you don't have a question because there's something called secondhand coaching, where when you hear me answering somebody else's question, it's very helpful for you. And this happens consistently during the strategy session. Like, I'll be working through one person's resume and somebody else will see it and use it to improve their own resume before they send it for feedback. So these strategy sessions are very helpful. And so while you might be in a rush to change, that will just lead you being in a job you're unhappy in a year later. Okay, let me tell you, it takes if you're job searching intentionally, it takes 3 to 6 months on average. So likely you'll get a job within 2 months, and in the last 2 months, you just get free career coaching. Well, it's not free, but you know what I mean? Like, you can get coaching on beating the new job, navigating your new manager, making your move, whatever it may be, the time is still yours to show up to coaching. And Rachel is like one of my favorite client stories to share. And she didn't want her picture shared as an avatar. She said I could share her story, but not her picture. Well, Rachel is someone who, this is by far my highest salary increase with a client. In fact, just best negotiation overall. Because Rachel was able to negotiate, this was back in, I want to say the end of 2021, a later virtual start date. So they were trying to get back in office. She negotiated a virtual start date. She negotiated holidays off without using leave days, a paid break because she had to relocate. So paid break while relocating. She increased, so they wanted to give her $5K to relocate. She negotiated a $10,000 relocation allowance. So from $5K to $10K, and she increased, her basic salary from $65,000 to $200,000. Look, I will never get tired of Rachel's story. This is why I say you can increase your salary by 6 figures. And so the thing is, the reason why I'm highlighting this is everything I teach in FYC, negotiation is not just about the money. The money is big, but I also show you how you can negotiate other things that indirectly puts money back in your pocket. So in the program, you also get, like I said, weekly coaching. So every week you have access to me for the entire 6 months. You have weekly coaching, and you also get that one-on-one job search strategy. So the weekly coaching is group calls, but you have a one-on-one call with me in there. And mind you, the coaching is not just our weekly coaching. You have access to me in between the weekly coaching. So we use Teams as our platform. So my clients are consistently sending me texts and sending me chats. I send voice notes. So you get coaching in between the coaching sessions. You get the 3 clarity assessments that I talked about, and these helps us understand very quickly what's keeping you stuck, your non-negotiables, so that we can get answers faster. You get access to my job search templates. So I give you There's 4 different resume templates because based on your career situation, there's not just one resume style that works. So I teach you my 4 different styles of resume and how to use them. Every template has a short video walking you through how to use it. You get cover letter templates. I show you exactly how to market yourself for the job you want, not the jobs you've had. There's what I call, it's called the skills matchup workbook for your cover letter. So I show you how to take the job description, break it down, take all your skills and match it to the job description so you have clarity about what to say in your cover letter to market you for the job that you're applying for. And then I give you a LinkedIn profile audit, templates to build all of that so that you can attract opportunities your way. There's also the job search scripts. So I give you word for word. Like there's no figuring, like you don't have to figure anything out. I tell you what to do, y'all. No figuring it out. I give you emails to send when you want to connect with someone on LinkedIn, before an interview, after an interview, ask for a negotiation. I tell you what emails to send. I give you what words to say when you're going into the interview. Like I actually have a formula. When they ask, tell me about yourself, because I know that question throws so many people off. So I have a template for how do you answer, tell me about yourself in a way that actually markets you for the role. Negotiation, how do you ask for more money? If they say no, what do you say? What are other things you can ask for? I give you all of that in the scripts. And so Find a Fulfilling Career is a cohort-based application-only program, okay? And that means you can't just join whenever. Enrollment only opens at certain times. So enrollment is currently open. I want to do a little dance because I'm so excited. I haven't had a cohort in like a few months because I was off. But enrollment is currently open for the January cohort. Just go to apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com. Again, that is apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com to apply and schedule your next steps call. So it's application only because I want to make sure it's actually the best way to serve you. Right? Remember, I talked about investing time, energy, money. I don't want you to make investments that won't yield returns. And so the call that you schedule when you apply allows us to talk about where you are in your career now, where you want to be in 6 months. And if this is truly the best way for me to serve you, I will invite you to join the program. I don't want you to join a program if I don't truly believe I can get you results. Y'all, I'm kind of vain. I'm going to be honest. Let me be honest. I told you at the beginning, I'm very proud of my client results. I don't want to work with clients who I can't get results. I'm just going to be candid. I love sharing client results. And so I love to talk to every woman before I invite her to join, because if I invite you, that means I know you're going to get results if you do the work. Okay, so this next steps call allows me to ensure that every woman who joins the program will clarify her fulfilling career path and secure an aligned job with a 5-figure salary increase. It also gives you an additional chance to get your questions answered, right? We're going to do Q&A today, but you might have more questions you want to ask on this format. You can ask them in the call. So the final day to join this cohort is Tuesday, January 30th, and I only work with 8 women in each cohort. So it's a small cohort to ensure that every woman gets the support that she needs. And like I said, it's application only. So, and because it's a cohort, we won't open again until the next cohort. So don't wait to apply. Apply now. Apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com. And be sure to apply today so that you can also get access to that bonus one-on-one call. So remember, I shared with you via email. So let's talk about this juicy bonus. I've never offered this before. This is my first time ever offering it. I don't know if I will offer it again. So that's just an FYI. I'm going to see how it goes this round. And so I don't know if it's coming back. So don't count on that for the next round. But when you apply, so when you submit your application by Monday, so the end of the day, Monday, January 15 at 11:59 p.m., you will get access to the one-on-one Better Boundaries call. So the goal of this call is going to be a personalized assessment of your current work situation. We'll create a customized plan to get you more time and energy to focus on securing an aligned job with a 5-figure salary increase. Because look, when a job is no longer aligned with who you are and it's making you miserable, I always tell my clients, stop giving 100% to jobs that aren't giving anything back to you. It makes no sense. And a lot of women I work with, because we're so high achieving, we're always giving 100%, even when we're not getting anything back. And when your job is not fulfilling, that doesn't make sense, because then you feel depleted all the time. So during this call, the goal is for us to see how we can reduce your effort from 100% to 70%. So that extra 30% can be focused on getting you out of that miserable job. That's why I share that schedule. We're going to build in your self-care time. We're going to build in your program time for you to be in the program. We're going to block all that out. We're going to set hardcore boundaries in the job that you're in now. So how will we do that? We're going to audit and identify your current work tasks to see how we can free up 5 hours in your week. And in this audit, I'm also going to ask you about the people in your company, in your office, to see who are some people who might need to set boundaries around to help you do your job still effectively, but with only 70% effort. And we'll also create your schedule to ensure that you move through FYFC seamlessly and secure a new job before the 6 months are over. This freed up time and energy from implementing the better boundary strategy will allow you to actually focus on the program to clarify a fulfilling career and secure an aligned job. This will absolutely cut 4 weeks off your job search timeline. And this bonus call, zero additional cost to you. All you need to do is submit your application by January 15th. Now, I want to highlight this. It doesn't matter what day you actually have the call, right? So from now until January 30th, when you go to apply, you'll see a calendar where you'll schedule your call. So your call itself could be on January 21st. But as long as you have applied by Monday, whenever you join the program, you will get access to this bonus. So if you submit your application on Tuesday, January 16th, you can still join the program, but you will not get access to this bonus. So this is a fast action bonus for people who take decisive action. If you submit your application by Monday, January 15th, you will get access to the bonus. Now, you're hearing about FYFC. I personally know it's not for everyone. I have absolutely said no to some women in the past, and that's just because their goals weren't a fit for the company. For the program. But how do you know if it's for you? Well, let me start with, it's not for you. If you already love your job and you feel satisfied and fulfilled at work, if you are not ready to change jobs in the next 6 months, if you're just looking for guidance towards getting a promotion to a C-suite role, this is not for you. If you want to keep mass applying to jobs and you're not ready or patient enough for an intentional approach, if you're not ready to invest in getting the support and guidance that you absolutely need to find a fulfilling career, if you are afraid of learning more about yourself, because y'all, we do a lot of self-reflection. Like, we talk about your family, your childhood, messages you've heard about work. We go deep. Like, my counseling skills come out consistently in our sessions. If you're afraid of learning more about yourself and not ready to engage in self-reflection, it's not for you. I'll just be candid from the jump. This is not the right fit. Now, it is for you if you have 8 or more years of work experience and you know that your current path is not fulfilling. Now, because one woman who had her call last week asked me this, it doesn't have to have been 8 years in one job. Okay, because someone asked me this. But usually I have found from doing this program that women who have been working in general for at least 8 years have more to pull on to figure out what it is they want. And I tend to be able to serve those women better. So I've worked in the past with women who had only worked for 2 to 3 years and they didn't know themselves well enough to get the results from this program. So that's why I said 8 years. If you want to finally hit or get close to earning 6 figures to support your dream lifestyle, if you want to finally figure out what your interests, values, and transferable skills are, FYFC is for you. If you're tired of investing time and energy trying to figure out your career with no results, if you're ready to make the investment to secure an aligned job with a 5-figure salary increase, and you are committed to prioritizing your life satisfaction by finding a fulfilling career path, this is absolutely the program for you. Just go to apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com to get access to the application and schedule your next steps call. I will send you an email. For those of you who are registered, you've been getting my emails. I'll send you an email with this link so that you can get access, but you can just type that in right now. And during the Q&A, I'll actually put this link in the chat also, but right now you can pull up your browser, apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com to submit your application and schedule your next steps call. So what do you get in the program? I talk about the curriculum, right? You get the Clarity curriculum. That's a $2,500 value. The job search curriculum is a $5,000 value. You get the weekly coaching. You get the Clarity assessment. You get the one-on-one transition plan call, the job search strategy call. You get the networking email script, the cover letter and resume templates. You get the interview and negotiation response scripts, the resume, LinkedIn, and cover letter audits. So I personally audit your resume, your LinkedIn, and your cover letter, 3 separate audits. You get access to all of that. And everything you get access to is valued at over $20,000. And these numbers, like, these are not, some people just put numbers next to things. I don't do that. I like to operate in integrity. These values are not arbitrary. Women have gotten career clarity and secured between $5,000 and $25,000 salary increases from just the curriculum. No coaching from me. Like, with just the first 2 things on this list, women have increased, they've gotten clarity, which I think clarity is priceless, right? Like it's worth more, but they've also increased their salary with just the curriculum. No additional coaching. Now, if you were to get just coaching from me, like if you were to just book a one-on-one with me, you would be paying about $900 an hour. And so if you were to get coaching with me for 36 hours, and I did the math, that is how many hours of formal coaching you get in this program over 6 months. I told you women are constantly messaging me on Teams. I'm doing voice notes. So I coach in between. So minimum 36 hours of coaching, you would be paying $32,000. So these numbers are not arbitrary when I say that. Okay. So if you were to join us in FYFC, and again, you can go to apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com to submit your application. Your investment options is either $650 when you join and $650 for 11 more months. So a total of $650 a month for 12 months, or a one-time investment of $7,000. And when you do the one-time investment, you would save $800. Okay, so again, that is, you can either join for $650 a month for 12 months or a one-time investment of $7K. And because women have asked this in the past, and I put that on there, the system that I use, there are actually buy now, pay later options through like PayPal, Affirm, Klarna, I think is one of them, where you can do payments for as low as $250 a month if you wanted. All of that you'll see when you apply, but the official payment plan is $650 a month for 12 months or a one-time investment for $7,000. Those are the two investment options that are available to you. The time for you to apply is now. Don't let another 6 months go by with you still feeling stuck, unhappy, and unfulfilled in your career. What will your story be? I told you, I literally, like y'all, I could brag on my clients nonstop. I love sharing client stories, and I would love for you to become a client story that I'm sharing, right? Like, and let me just share 3 more with y'all. We're gonna get to Q&A, I promise, but let me just share some more with you real quick. Taylor is someone who, she was feeling stuck in her career. She dreaded going in every day, didn't see any opportunities for growth. And what I love about her is because she had been living paycheck to paycheck. She said she felt like a hamster on a wheel, and she didn't know what change to make in her career. FYFC gave her a new sense of self. She figured out where she belongs in the world of work, and it helped her talk to a recruiter and determine if a role was in alignment. She learned how to communicate with recruiters. Helen is someone else who, she said she truly believes FYFC is an answer to her prayers. I just love that. And she was unhappy in her job, but not sure about her next career move. But because of FYFC, she was more confident in her career direction. She was so much clearer about the types of career she'll find fulfilling, and she knows what was preventing her from moving forward before. She says, if you're on the fence, go for it. View this as an investment in your future that is 100% worth it. And this last story I love to share, and I'm going to tell you why. First is because, so Vivian, and Vivian's story is also on the podcast. You can hear it. But before FYFC, she was feeling frustrated at work. She would cry every day, but couldn't name her frustration, which made her feel even more stuck. And she said from just that next steps call that we had, she knew that the program would help her name her frustration. It helped her realize that she's not broken. She realized why she was frustrated. She set boundaries for herself and her teammates, which made her miserable job a little bit better. After the program, she realized that she had skills she had forgotten about. She redid her, she says CV because Vivian was in, I forgot, it's an African country, I don't remember which one, but they use CVs, not resumes. And she was able to talk herself in a truthful and authentic way. She's so much more confident in herself. She said it helped her remember who she is. And then, this is why I love Vivian's story. I think it was maybe a year and a half later, she DM'd me on Instagram. First, she was like, hey, Tiger, Dr. Vivian here, sorry, Dr. Tiger, Vivian here. She said, I have so much to thank you for. Just an update, because I always check with my clients. So update since we last spoke, I quit that job that was not aligning with my values. I've taken up a new position that speaks to the impact I want to make and gives me time to also work on the second skill set we identified. So, and the reason why I love this is because she and I had talked about her setting up a side business with those skills. So not only did she transition into a new job, she now has a side gig, right? Which means more money. And so I don't know how to thank you for your patience, expertise, and nurturing. God bless you a million times. I tell everyone about you and encourage them to reach out to you when they can. It really will change their lives. That's what Vivian said. And I love Vivian's story so much. And so the thing is, when it comes to joining FYFC, because I talk to so many women, there are two things that almost always, like without fail, two things that almost always keeps most women from applying. The first one is the investment, which, and I understand. Let me tell you, FYI, it is an investment, but remember, it's for me, it's a one-time investment for the rest of your career. I truly want to be the last career coach that you ever work with. And so the question when people say, I don't think I can afford it, I'm not ready to make the investment, that's fine. I'm not in your wallet. I will never try to be in your wallet. But here's the question I always like to present. What's your unfulfilling career costing you right now? Because research shows us that the average amount that an individual, not a family, that an individual needs to be fulfilled and happy in America is $200,000. This is the ideal income. That's about $16K a month, $8K every 2 weeks, and $500 a day. So technically, the longer you're unhappy, you're paying about $500 a day to be unhappy. Physically, to me, this is more important. Physically, it's costing you because your weight is suffering, your hair, your sleep, your skin, your energy, your digestive system are all suffering because of your job. Mentally, it's costing you your peace, your happiness, your hope, your concentration, your motivation, your interest. It's costing you relationally, your relationships are suffering because you're always complaining. You don't have the energy to be present and connect with your loved ones. You're more impatient. You're experiencing lower sex drive. You're lashing out at loved ones. You're getting into more arguments. So I think the better question to answer, to think through is, can you afford not to invest in yourself? That's the question I want to ask you. Okay. And again, you know what the answer to that is going to be, but I want to share a client video with you. So give me a moment here. I'm going to stop sharing and then do this because here, I want you to listen to this video.
Like I need things broken down in chunks, and then I can pretty much go on my own, but I need like clear framework for like jump off. And FYFC like kind of provided that for me, and so I decided that the commitment, both time-wise and financially, was an investment in myself, which I think often also as women, we don't necessarily do that. Like in careers, we give so much of ourselves to our home life, to our families, to our jobs, but very rarely do we invest in ourselves.
Yeah, you know what? But you use the right word though, investment, because we will spend money on vacations, on clothes, on things to make ourselves feel better because we don't like our jobs or our lives. But then we'll second guess about making an investment about a coaching program. And no, what better person to invest in than yourself? So I was like, let's make this investment. Let's do this.
So those are two clients, Montana and Jody. I just love both their stories because those are two women who, let me not digress. I'll come back. But the second thing that most women often tell me that keeps them from the program is from applying is the group format. I can't tell you how many women are like, can I just work with you one-on-one? I'm just like, I mean, you could, but it would cost you more money. But the thing about this situation that you're in is oftentimes when you're unhappy at work, it feels very isolating. Like you look around and it feels like everybody else has it figured out. Your family don't really understand what you're going through because they're not in your shoes. They're potentially giving you bad advice. The group format itself is therapeutic. And so I want you to hear from some more clients. And half of these clients, mind you, were wary about group before they joined the program. But listen to what they had to say about the group format.
You know, that other people, even though we were all different ages and from different backgrounds, we could relate, and every session that we had together kind of felt like a therapy session and like a bonding experience. We didn't have to explain what we were going through. We could just talk about our feelings and help each other process what our next steps were going to be and just have that sisterly support.
I like the idea of it. And then you're like, there's other women and peers. And I remember thinking that would be really good to also just know that I'm not the only one going through this right now.
What I loved about this was the community aspect of it. It was a part of what was so frustrating was that I felt isolated in the energy that I was in because everybody is like thriving, like doing it. And I'm just the only one that's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so having other people that you can share that with and be like, we're going through the same thing, that was like the best thing about the whole process.
So there you have it. If the group format or the investment or things that you were worried about. Just wanted to hear from other women who have been through it to hear their thoughts. So again, you can go to apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com. And when you go to that page, what you'll see is you'll select a date and time for your next steps call. Then the application form will pull up, and it's going to be questions about your career. I ask things like, what's making you unhappy? What are your goals? What have you tried so far? It really helps me understand your career situation. That way, when you get on the next steps call, we can be really efficient with that time because I already have the information I need to help you figure out what your next move needs to be. And so you'll add your appointment to your calendar and just show up ready to make a decision either way. Now, you may want to invest time and energy to DIY your career success, right? You're like, okay, I know the 2 steps. I'm going to go DIY it. And sure, you could do that. But the fact is, while you might think you're only investing time and energy, the money is still flowing somehow. Whether it is you're getting additional certificates, you're getting another degree, or you're just taking trips. Like you heard Jody say, you're taking trips, you're buying bags to just distract yourself. The money is flowing somehow. And it's flowing also in reduced earning potential just from staying in that job. So you're still coming back to that unaligned job that's making you miserable. And I always say, self-care is not going to heal your career exhaustion. So what if you were in a career that you're not constantly trying to escape? One that doesn't leave you feeling drained all the time. FYFC is your gateway to that reality. So you can go to apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com to submit your application. And again, when you join us, you get immediate access to everything except the coaching. Coaching starts on February 6th, right? So January 30th is the last day to join. And that's when the program sort of starts. You have that week to prepare for our first coaching call. But let's say you have your call. I have some spots available tomorrow. So let's say you have your call tomorrow, you join tomorrow, you would get immediate access to the Clarity curriculum, the job search curriculum. Your coaching would start when the program starts, but the Clarity assessments, the one-on-one call, the networking email scripts, the cover letter and resume templates, the interview and negotiation response scripts, the resume, LinkedIn, and cover letter audits will happen obviously when you submit those. So you would have access to all of those when you join us in the program. Again, just as a reminder, if you forget, so there are 2 investment options. You can either do $650 a month for 12 months. And something some of my clients have done in the past is when they get a new job and they get that salary increase, they'll just email me like, Tika, can I just pay this off? They were doing like the payment plan. I'm like, yeah, you can pay it off whenever you want, right? This is just to give you more flexibility based on how you've budgeted your finances. Or you could just do the one time if you want to save $800 and that's just the processing fees. And you're just like the kind of person, I'm like that. I don't want to think about it every month. You can just do $7,000 one-off paid off. Reminder that when you apply by Monday, so when you just submit your application, schedule your call, by end of day Monday, you get access to the Better Boundaries call. That's a bonus one-on-one call with me. So one-on-one 60-minute call with me where we're going to really set you up for success in the program moving forward. So at this point, I want to get into the Q&A. Type your questions in the chat. What questions do you have? And I do have some, while you're typing your questions in the chat, reminder, you can go to apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com to get started. But while you're typing your questions in the chat, there's some common questions that I know I usually get. So let me answer those in case that was your question, and then we'll do a Q&A. And also once I do these questions, I'm going to unmute y'all so that if anyone wants to just come off mute and chat with me, you can do that. But so how much time do I need to commit to this? In the first 2 months, when we're doing those first 2 phases, it's usually about 4 hours a week, flexible. And 2 of those hours is because we have 2-hour weekly calls, right? And every weekly call, all the calls are recorded. You have access to all the call recordings. That way, if you ever have to miss a call for some reason, you can always watch the recording, or if you forgot to take notes, or just you got some really good coaching and you want to go back and watch it, which women often do, you can go back. The other 2 hours is really just sometimes watching the videos, but the videos are like 10 minutes long. More of that time is spent doing reflection. So a lot of the videos, I teach you a very quick concept, and then I have you go in the workbook and reflect on what I just taught you. So that's where most of the time is spent, is really quiet time for you. So technically it's like self-care time because you're answering reflection questions that I've laid out for you. So those first 4 months, it's about, I would say on average, 3 to 4 hours a week, and 2 of those hours is coaching. It just depends on how long it takes you to do the reflection. When you are job searching in the last 4 months, at that point, it's totally up to you. We have weekly 90-minute calls that you might go to, but the time you spend job searching is dependent on you. Another question I often get is, do I have to wait 6 months to get a new job? Absolutely not. Anytime from week 5, you can start applying to jobs. As long as you have clarity and radical focus, I will release you to apply to jobs. I just need to make sure you know what jobs you're applying for and are ready to market yourself. How long will I have access to the program? You have 6 months of live coaching, but you have 12 months access to the materials. So 6 months of the weekly coaching, but you have a full year of access to the curriculum, to the training materials, to the recordings of the calls. Even you have 1 year access. One of the group coaching sessions in those first 2 months, coaching is Tuesday nights from 5 to 7 p.m. Central. And then when you're job searching, the strategy sessions are on Friday afternoons. A common question I always get is, will this work for me? And I usually say this program is not industry specific. I have worked with over 100 women across 4 continents. So I've worked with women in the United States, in Africa, in Asia, and in the UK, in Europe, UK. And over 20 different industries and over 30 roles women have been successful with this system. And last year alone, women increased their salaries by an average of $30,000. So it will absolutely work. If I say yes to you joining the program, like if we talk on the call and I'm like, yes, I can absolutely help you. If I believe I can serve you, you will be successful if you follow the process. Okay. So now let's see, what questions do y'all have? Let me go pull up my chat. As a reminder, you could go to apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com to get started. So let me see. Do you have women in the group from the UK? Absolutely. I have worked with 3 different women who were in the UK. And one thing we usually do, so because like I've told you, I work with women who have been in Africa, UK, Asia. And so sometimes they can't make the call. I've only had one woman, Vivian. I shared her story with y'all. Y'all, Vivian used to wake up at 1 a.m. to come to coaching. Amazing. I love that for her. We would see her in her bed with her bonnet on, her computer. But anyway, so a lot of times when women are not in the US, they can't actively, what's the word I'm looking for? They might not be able to make the coaching sessions if they can't. So what we usually do in that case is I'll say, okay, watch the recording, like you're still in the cohort, watch the recording, and then we connect one-on-one. Like I'm chatting, okay, tell me what you resonated with, tell me what questions you have, where you're still stuck, because especially in those first 2 months, I really want to make sure that you have a full sense of that component before you move on. So like, I want you to be clear on your values in week 2 before you work on your interest in week 3, before you work on your skills in week 4. So even if you can't make live coaching, you'll just watch the replay. You and I will do voice notes back and forth to check in, or even text if that's what you want. And then you'll be ready to move on to the next cohort. So absolutely, yes, you can be in a different country or continent. I always reach out and network to find those hidden jobs. But I get told the same thing. Just look at our jobs online and apply. It seems like none of them actually have those hidden jobs. What is your advice take on this? My thought would be, how are you approaching it? Because none of the people I'm working with have ever had that. None of the people have ever had that happen. So usually the way that I teach you to tap into the hidden job market is through informational interviews. And so when you reach out, that initial conversation that I teach you to do, you're not just coming at them and saying, what jobs do you have? Like, that's not how I teach you. You have to woo them first, right? Like, you have to woo them first. And so it's more about you're getting to know them, you're learning more about the company, you're just asking general questions. And then at the end, there's a secret question that I have you ask that then really helps them say, oh, you know what? Yes, send me your resume. So those are things that I teach differently in the program. Like, you don't just come out the jump and say, hey, what jobs are available? Because some of them, they don't want to do the work to tell you. They might not know what's available. And sometimes I wouldn't say every conversation immediately leads to a job, but it certainly plants the seed. I do love telling Jen's story though, because that was one where she only had a 30-minute conversation with a director. And from that one conversation, the director told her about a job that was available. The director told her to send her resume. And she learned so much about the company, she realized that company wasn't a fit. So she figured out she didn't want to apply. So these conversations, they can yield results at different time frames, but I definitely teach it differently. You're not straight up coming out and saying, hey, what jobs are available? That's not how I teach it. Okay. I have to jump up. When will the replay be available? I'm going to send an email today, so maybe in the next 2 hours, that will have the replay available on there. So just check your inbox for the replay. And remember, apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com. Okay, so question. This is a long one, so y'all bear with me. I'm going to read this question out loud before I answer it. Last year, I officially graduated with an MPH, but I struggled to get public health jobs in a way I've never struggled with before. They want years of experience and some specific tech skills and that I don't have. A couple of days ago, an employee looking for a clinical assistant applied to the job, currently enrolled in a cybersecurity course that helps you get the certifications, also in a free program. I feel like I'm definitely starting over, but I wonder if I'm doing too much to make myself more marketable. So from the jump, from reading that, I'm getting a sense of yes. Like, so I'm hearing you say you're taking an hourly job, you're doing a 10-week certification course, you're also doing a program for software development. That's 3 different things. It definitely feels like a lot to me. I generally would not, I usually will not tell my client to do that from the jump. So another thing that I teach in FYFC with my clients is, let's find you a bridge job. I teach a concept of a bridge job where if you can't get into your fulfilling career directly, how can we bridge into it? Because I don't know what you were earning before, but you said this is $20 an hour with a master's degree. Y'all, there is no world in which you have an advanced degree and I, as your coach, would be okay with you taking an hourly job. It just, no, it's a no for me. And that's just my philosophy. So I want y'all to hear my philosophies if I'm going to be a coach. I would never tell any of my clients an advanced degree, even if you had just a bachelor's degree. But if you have years of experience and degrees, you should not be doing an hourly job. So that's already my first thought is I would have advised you to find a bridge job because this could not put you in a financial pinch to where you could then get desperate. And I don't want you making career decisions from financial desperation. And so that's already like my first concern there. Then the 2 certifications, we don't know that it's going to make a difference. If they're saying they want experience, we need to be getting you experience, not information. And degrees are just information, not experience. And so, yes, my inclination is that you are doing too much. I wouldn't have told any of my clients to do that. And so that's my first thought. But yeah, so if you were unemployed, doing something to bring money in, but I would advise you right now to start thinking about, okay, can you get a full-time salaried role that you are qualified for, a role you're qualified for in public health? That way you bridge into the industry. And then once you're in that role, you can then keep working on the actual role that you desire. But you want to be bringing in a stable, full-time salaried income because wealth goals are real, and then work towards fulfillment. So you can still be in a bridge job that is still not making you miserable while working towards your ultimate fulfilling role. And that's how I coach my clients to navigate when they're in situations like this. Okay. What other questions do y'all have? Because I really want you to be able to get access to that bonus call. So, or let me know your situation. If you're wondering if it's for you, if you have questions, let me know your situation. Let me know your questions. I want you to be able to get access to that bonus call. You are absolutely welcome. You're welcome. I finished my water, y'all. Let me know what questions you have. In the chat. And I'm going to give me a moment, y'all. I'm going to unmute your mics in case anyone is having, because I know some people were having trouble with the chat when we started. So I'm going to allow your mic. That way, if you want to unmute yourself, you can absolutely do that now. Question. Do you also discuss how to quit a job? Oh, I love that. I'm going to do a workshop on that. And how to prepare to quit. So let me finish reading the whole question and I'll say, I'm in the stage where I feel ready to quit, but I'm not sure where to pivot to. I also feel slightly guilty about wanting to quit just because I've been at this job for 2 years now. Could you talk more about how you address figuring out what to pivot to? Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to answer this in different orders. I smiled when you said you feel guilty about wanting to quit because I actually talk about that, I think on a podcast episode in the past, emails even, because women are notorious for that. Like, we want to be loyal to a company that is not loyal to you. Like, let me tell you, I don't advise, like, don't ever be loyal to any organization. Don't feel guilty for wanting to quit because guess what? This is morbid, but if you die tomorrow, they will replace you in 1 week flat. Don't feel guilty. They'll be fine without you. That's my first step. Okay. Just wanted to say that. Second, I definitely have talked to clients about how to quit. We process that in coaching sessions, like timeline for quitting, conversations to have. But now that you said that, I'm like, I love that. I'm going to do a workshop in FYFC on how to quit because I love that. But yes, we talk about that. How to figure out what to pivot to. I'm wondering if you joined the session late because the first like half hour was about how to figure out what to pivot to. So I'm going to say, I'm going to send out the recording. Definitely watch the recording if you joined us late, because you figure out how to pivot to with that clarity, right? That's the very first step. Clarify your values, your interests, your skills, and then do research. And so we do that in the first 4 weeks of the program. We clarify your values, your interests, your skills. And then in week 5, I show you how to do research so that you're ready to now start researching. Hold on, I'm going to start sharing my screen now. So you're ready to start researching. What other questions do you have? You joined a bit late. Okay. Yeah. So definitely the replay, the email I send out today, you will definitely see, what's the word I'm looking for? I lost my thought. You'll definitely see the link to the replay. Okay. So let me go to the Q&A because there's some questions in the Q&A. How does it work with group coach time schedule to match everyone's schedule? Can you please let me know what time? Okay. So I said that, so I'll repeat it. We have in the first 2 months, group coaching is 5 to 7 p.m. Central Time on Tuesdays. And the recordings are always available. If you ever can't make it, recordings are available. I have had women go through the program who did not show up to any calls and still were successful because I connect with you. When you can't show up, I connect with you still one-on-one. So that's that. Okay, so look forward, you're welcome. Okay, so next question. You're saying get a great salary, but what if you think your salary is good for the work you do, but you think you are not doing the right job, but keep doing it because salary might decrease if you move to something that you like? Okay, so my first thought is I'm hearing the scarcity mindset that I talked about, right? So you're thinking if I move to something else, I might not like the job, right? Like that's what your brain is telling you is if I move to do something else, it's going to be a job that I don't like. Sorry, I might not get paid as well. That's what I mean to say. It's going to be a job where I don't get paid as well. So that's already the first problem is the mindset. And so you have to realize that if you have a design, that is part of the metrics that we use, right? When I said create your ideal job profile, on there, we also talk about your ideal salary. So let's say what you're making right now is 90K. And you're like, I don't want to make less than 90K, but I'm scared that every other job will pay me less than 90K. Well, guess what? We're not going to apply to any jobs that make less than 90K. We're not even going to pick them. That's a part of the research you do. If there's a job that you're interested in, but your research shows that it will not pay you as well, then it's not fulfilling. That's one thing I tell someone. If a job is not aligned with your desired salary range, it is not an aligned job. Because your desired salary range is part of the metrics that we use. And so the question would then be, what else is available that will pay you as well? And there are things, most times this fear is rooted in you thinking nothing out there will pay me as well, especially if this is the first job to pay you this well. But there are literally hundreds of jobs out there that you don't know anything about. Like on average as an adult, you're probably exposed to about 40 jobs over your adult lifetime. The way I teach you to research will show you what jobs are available. And so we will figure out what is going to be aligned even to the salary that you are interested in. Okay. So that's what I would say to that. So then still, I've changed career 4 times in 3 different countries, still feel so much fear. And I keep coming back to jobs that I have more skills on. How do you get over the fear to try something new again? Yeah, and that's a very real fear, honestly. And so I would say it's thinking through what I shared, right? It's, first of all, what has gone wrong in the times you've changed? If in the times you've changed, you were changing based on your work history, then that's why it hasn't been successful. And so really talking yourself through that fear of, okay, you know what? I see where I went wrong in the past. So I see how this is going to be a different approach and going through it. That's how I would say getting like, and really, you don't get over fear. That's one thing I want to say. We don't get over fear. We work through fear. When we have strategy, when we have a plan to follow, that's how we're able to work through fear. So I'm never going to tell you just get over your fear, because no, your fear is very real. Your fear is very logical. Your fear makes sense, especially when you've tried this 4 times before. It absolutely makes sense that you feel afraid. And one thing I always say, and this is not, again, my stance, because I'm a Jesus lover, I'm like, you have not been given a spirit of fear, but of love and of sound mind. We cannot let fear control us, because if you let fear control you, then you're never going to be fulfilled. So that's what I will share to that. Okay. I see that some of you earlier said the chat wasn't working for everyone, but I think that you had to leave and come back. So hopefully you got your questions in. Okay. I know it's a screenshot from the Strong when you did the breakdown. I think that's a tool. The results were blank. Literally none of the themes populated. Are there any other tools you use to help clients gain clarity? So yeah, so one of the tools we use is the Strong. My clients have never had issues with that. It's not going to be blank. But also, and this is one thing I want to share with all of you, all the assessments that we use in the program, yes, they're evidence-based and they're simply conversation starters. I always tell my clients this, there's no test, there's no assessment that knows you better than yourself. So we only use the assessments to speed up your results. We're going to take those assessments. We're going to come back to coaching. We're going to talk through them. We're going to figure out what you agree with, what you don't agree with, and then go from there. That's how I use assessments. And that's just my counseling training coming in. An assessment can never tell you what you need in your career. It can only speed up and give us a jump off point for where to start our research. And that's how I use assessments. Okay. Let me come back to the chat. I don't see any other questions. I think I've gone through all the questions in the Q&A box, and I think I've gone through all the questions in the chat. As a reminder, apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com to submit your application by Monday night if you want access to that bonus call. So you can certainly still apply later. You just will not get access to the bonus call. But if you want access to that bonus Better Boundaries call, submit your application by Monday night. Okay. Okay, y'all, let me know. What are the questions? I'm still hanging on for a bit. If like it's been 2 hours, y'all. Y'all that are still here, first of all, thank you for being here. Let me know, actually, before we wrap up, let me know, what are you taking away from this training? What resonated with you? What have you learned? What are you walking away with? Let me know in the chat before we wrap up and call it a day. What are you leaving with from this training? What is something that you're walking away with? I need to stop applying for the same roles. Absolutely. I think that's a big one. And I just want to emphasize that if you're doing that, it's absolutely not your fault or anything to be ashamed of. It's how you've been taught to job search. You've been taught to look at your work history and use that to figure out what to do next. But it's just know that your education system failed you. Okay. Just know that. To not act out of desperation. Yes. When you act out of desperation, it will absolutely lead to bad decisions. Trust me. That's why one of the things we talk about because I teach a transition framework in my program, and the third step of that transition, like a career transition framework, the third step of that is auditing your finances, because that's the biggest source of desperation for most women is the finances. And so we need to audit your finances before you even jump to make sure that you're not doing anything out of desperation. We need to be intentional and purposeful. Not to stay loyal to jobs that will easily replace me the next day. Yep. Nope. We don't do loyalty over here. No. Like, don't feel, because I've heard that before. They've been so good to me. I like my coworkers. It's like, no. Stop being loyal, because they sure as heck are not loyal to you. The only thing you need to be loyal to is your career. You are the CEO of your career. So you need to make decisions that benefit your career. And if that happens to be in a different organization, then so be it. Trust me, they will be fine. I promise you, they will be fine. They absolutely will be fine. Any other, what else is resonating for you? We're about to wrap up in the next, I would say 4 minutes. We're going to wrap up right at 1:20. So let me know if anything else, what is resonating with you, or questions. I've gone through the question box and I don't think I've missed any. So what's resonating with you, or what question? And I see this question in the question box. I answered it before, but I'll say it again. Yes, the recording will be shared. I will send it via email. Okay, the recording will be shared. I will send it via email. This has been amazingly enlightening, thoroughly enjoyed. Thank you. I'm glad you thoroughly enjoyed. Let's see. Okay, I think that I have answered all the questions and I don't see any more coming in. Again, thank you all so much for being here. I thoroughly enjoyed sharing this information with you. I love to teach about this. I'm looking forward to seeing your applications come through. I'm looking forward to working with you in Find Your Fulfilling Career over the next 6 months in this first cohort of the year. We're going to have an amazing time. One woman already secured her spot last week, and that's because she had applied last year. And so she secured her spot, but now application. So because I know somebody had DM'd me on Instagram that they couldn't book a call. That's because from December, the calls were closed, but now they're officially open. They opened last night. You just might not have seen. So if you go to apply.findyourfulfillingcareer.com, you will see that you can pick a time to have your call and fill out and submit the application. So I'm looking forward to seeing all your wonderful applications come through. It's going to be an amazing time. Thank you all for being here. Let me stop sharing. We're going to wrap up here. If you have a question and I didn't answer it, or you just want to ask it privately, again, definitely apply so that you can ask it during the call, or you can DM me on Instagram, hercareerdoctor.com. I'm happy to answer questions via DM on Instagram. Okay? Have a good day, y'all. Bye.